we're finally here, Garland, doing the podcast. How excited are you?
I'm super excited.
You're super excited?
Yes.
I'm super duper excited as well to give people a little preview of what's going to be going on. This podcast is going to be called Troubleshooting.
Yeah,
Troubleshooting. I like that.
Do you know what it means?
Well, a little bit. I know you just want everybody to know that you was part of the reason coming up with the name, but go ahead. You explain us what troubleshooting is and how do you talk about it a little bit more.
Well, for me in the job that I had for so many years, before I started my own business, I was what you would call a troubleshooter. And when something is not working the way it should work, you trace down the reason why it's not working. So, for instance, one of the things could be if a machine isn't running or a motor isn't running, it's because it lost power. Could have blew a fuse. You can't just put the fuse back in, though, because if you just put the fuse back in, it's going to blow again because you didn't fix the problem. So if you do put it in, it blows again. Now you have to figure out why it's blowing.
Yeah.
And then you get to the root and you go down the line and you figure out what the real problem is. That's what troubleshooting means. You don't just focus on the symptoms, but you get to the root and fix the problem.
Right, because that's when things can really change, is when you get to the root of things.
Yeah.
And we all deal with so many issues. And I think one of the reasons of why we decided to really do this podcast, because of us being in ministry for so long as well, people have always asked us questions.
Oh, yes.
And we haven't ever had the time to really sit down and talk about some of those questions and give answers or and by all means, we are not the expert on anything.
No, that's right.
We are not the experts, but however, we can give people a little bit wisdom on issues, because we said one of the things that we want to talk about, you guys, that we want to talk about relationships and marriage. Because it will be in September, it'll be 23 years.
Yeah, 23 years.
Can you believe it, Garland?
Yeah, sometimes I think about it, and I remember hearing people say that they've been married 20 years when we were young, and I'd be like, man, that's a long time.
Right.
And I just think, man, they're old. So now I'm here, and I'm not old.
I'm not old either. But wow, you kept me around for that long.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and no, I really kept you around.
She said it the right way the first time.
No, I really kept you around. But some of those things we can also talk about, and we're gonna be talking about business owners, because me and you both we don't work for anybody.
Right.
And I think that we believe that one of the ways to experiencing wealth and becoming, what people are saying, debt free, or just having a life full of choices, is when you work for yourself. Because we know that you don't get wealthy working for somebody else, right?
That's what's up.
Right. So, how does it feel to really be a business owner? Like when you think about being a business owner and where we've come from.
Those are some of the things we're going to be talking about.
Right.
And I know we both had people come to us and couples asking us to be mentors. And, people asking us to mentor them when it comes to business. One of the things I really think that we could touch on that would be good is how to work together in ministry and be able to build together in ministry too. Yeah. So these are some of the things we're going to talk about, dealing with all of these issues. And it's a great way for us to be able to communicate with people that we on a level that we really can't do one-on-one all the time. Yeah.
And then another issue is families. We want to touch on families. So many times people lose hope, in having a family. And of course, in families, you always have issues. Nobody's family is perfect. If anybody says their family is perfect, they're not telling the truth.
Right.
Because nobody's family is perfect. But however, things that we've learned over the years, we've raised 3 boys, Dorian, and Gabriel and Isaiah. Dorian is 24, right? That's when you had too many kids, when you forget. Gabe is 18, and Isaiah is 12. And so we could talk about the dynamic of the family dynamic in that. And I think that would be something too that we want to talk about, because I think when we were, especially Garland, when we were young, raising the family, it was really hard sometimes, I think, to connect with people that can give us that advice on what to do or what not to do sometimes. Because I don't know why, I feel like sometimes people like hold information. Like they have information that can help people. Like I've never been like that. If I have some information that I know that's going to help somebody, I'm going to tell it, because I think that's what it's about. The reason why you go through certain things, or the reason why you find out certain things, is so that you can help people, not keep it and hoard it to yourself.
Yeah, it's a mentality, because even when people find discounts on designer clothes, something simple as that, they won't share that information because they want to be the only one that's got it.
Right.
Or you got a connection with something and you don't want to share it. I like to say, don't burn down the school when you graduate. Let somebody else take classes.
I know that's right.
We're here to help. And although we don't know everything, we do know a little something, having all these years of experience of working together, building ministry together, building our marriage together, raising our children together, building businesses together, and how to work and play off of each other. And where I'm weak, you're strong. Where you're strong, I'm weak. And work together to build. And I think those are keys to being successful as couples in relationships, and especially when you're building a legacy for your future.
And isn't that what it's about? Because I remember when I had, when we met and I had made the decision, we're going to date seriously.
Oh, you make that decision.
Well, we made it together, but you still have to, it's still a choice, to say, is this somebody that I'm going to date seriously?
I didn't think it was much of a choice, though. I thought, it was a no-brainer for you.
Well, it was. Exactly. Right. It was a no-brainer for me. But I believe that, when you make those decisions and you say, okay, I'm going to become in covenant with somebody, you don't marry to live a single life. You marry to be married, to be in covenant with one another. And I think some of the things that we always see is that, now I'm not saying you can't do separate things. So that's not what I'm saying, because you do have to discover your own identity. Like some things I do that you may not do, some things you do I may not do, and that is okay. But at the end of the day, it has to be that assurance that we're working together as a team. You get further in life when you do that, instead of this person being over here, this person being over here. And what people really, I think, are going to really experience with this podcast is that we really do work together. And first of all, with family, in our household, raising our kids, in ministry, we've worked together. And as business owners, yes, we have two businesses, and you kind of do your thing, I kind of do my thing. But at the end of the day, we come together and say, what do we need to do together so we could create this?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to business, though, even though we have two different businesses, like having business plans and learning how to communicate with people on a level where they can understand, those are things we're going to touch on, because the foundations of building ministry, or even though you may have different roles in ministry, or building businesses, even though you may have two different businesses, the foundation and the structure of it, this leadership in general, from ministry to the secular world, there are certain things that you need to learn as being a leader, or as being a business owner, or as being someone in ministry, whatever it is, those are common. So I've learned a lot of things from the classes that you've taken for your business and applied it to mine, because it's universal. It works everywhere. Because whenever you are doing anything that comes with ministry or business or anything, it's relationships. You have to build relationships. You have to learn how to build relationships. And for a lot of years, that was a struggle for me. And I would always think it was everybody else, till I realized it was me not knowing how to communicate with people, expecting people to listen the way I listen, or process the way I process, and thinking if they don't, that something's wrong with you. But that's not true, because we're all wired differently. So I'm excited about a lot of these things that we're going to be touching on, because I think it's going to sharpen us, and it's going to help a lot of people at the same time.
Yeah. And I think, we've been talking about, we're going to do this, and, I think it's just, I'm so glad that we got this together a little bit. It's invading My living room right now.
Living room,
yeah, it's my living
That's
room.
your living room.
Yeah, it's my living room.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
We just talked about building together.
Okay, it's our living room. It's our living room, but it's invading that. But I'm excited about it because I believe it's going to help so many people.
Yeah.
It's going to help a lot of people. And we're just not talking because somebody told us something. We're talking from experience.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to be so transparent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing, is to be transparent and be open and honest about different things. And let's come together and troubleshoot this, as we're going to say. And let's try to figure this thing out. And I pray that as people began to listen to the podcast and it, that they will be blessed from it and that we can encourage them as well. Because, Garland, in this world right now, everybody needs encouragement. Because everybody is going through something. Is always something going on, and people need an encouraging word. People don't always need to be told who they are not. They need to be told who they are. And when you know who you are, I love saying this, then you realize what you can become. Yeah,
it's really sad that even if you search the internet and post, and when people put up, you can find negativity much quicker than you can find positivity.
Yeah.
And I do. There are a lot of people that are trying to spread love, but nothing disconnects people like negativity, because what it does is it draws a crowd.
Yeah.
And you have so many people building platforms off of negativity.
Yeah.
And calling people out or blasting people and things like that. I don't agree with that, because we're not here to judge anybody.
Yeah.
We're here to love people. So I always say, for me, if I don't have nothing good to say, I won't say anything.
Right.
I'll just leave it alone. And because at the end of the day, if I have to get people to follow me by stepping on somebody else, then that's not God's will.
Yeah.
The way up is never stepping on somebody else.
Especially, when you talk about negativity, especially with social media, when people are always bashing somebody, and I think, Garland, we talked about this before. Like, I always say, what time do you have? Yeah. Like, if you are concerned about your business, concerned about your family, because I think about us, we're raising a family, we're in ministry, we're always at a basketball game or doing something like that, or, working our businesses. We're taking care of our first ministry, which is your family. What time do you have to get on there and talk negatively about anybody? Yeah. What does that do? I don't think it does anything, and I'm going to go say it. I said before, when people just go on social media has created a bunch of cowards, because in my day, in your day too, because you a little older than me though. But we didn't have social media. No. And I think what social media has done, it kind of has created some cowards, because when a person want to say something, they hiding behind the screen. They can't. But in my day, it was like, well, say it to my face.
The keyboard warriors.
Yeah, the keyboard warriors. Yes, the keyboard. I mean, and you know what? I bet you if you seen some of those people head on, they wouldn't say nothing. No, they wouldn't say nothing. But I think it creates a lot of cowards, because they can't say it to your face, but they could say it through a social media, or they could try to tear you down, or tear down your character, or tear down just anything. I'm like, wow. Yeah. So I hope that we're able to address some of those things, because truth be told, if you're concerned about your own business, you don't have time. Because I always be like, when people are like that, I want to know, like, what is your life like? Like, what type of time do you have to do that? Right. Because it's hard. Like, we barely had time to do this podcast. Yeah. Because we coming from a service and got 2 more tomorrow. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Another thing we're going to work on in the podcast is you not doing so much talking and let me get some words in.
Oh, so what people are going to find out, they're going to find out our different personalities.
Here's something that hit me the other day when we talk about negativity. Yeah. Me and Isaiah were driving. That's my youngest son. He's 12. We were driving in the car and we were in traffic. And I said, it must be an accident up there. And then he was like, okay. And then I said, well, it looks like we're caught in the Gapers delay.
Gapers.
And he said, what is that? I said, well, I'm gonna preach on this one day, probably soon.
Mm-hmm.
The accident was on the other side of the people going the opposite way, but we had a clear path. But people slowed down so they could look at the accident, gaping at it. That's what it's called, gaper's delay. So he said, you mean to tell me that we can actually drive through with no problem, but people are slowing down to be nosy? I said, yeah, because what happens, they're not really concerned about the accident. They just want to see what happened. And because if they were concerned, they would stop, get out and try and help. But they're just slowing down just to look at all the damage. They're not even trying to be safe because nobody's on this side of the road. That's because negativity draws. It makes people slow down and want to look. If you see a post on any kind of post that you know is controversial, the first thing you do is go to the comments. Yeah, and you start looking and seeing who said what, reading what, and it paused. You put your whole life on pause to read the opinions of people that you don't even know. And here they are criticizing somebody that may have 1 million followers, but they got 20, and they feel like they need to speak up and call them out and say what's wrong about this and that. And they don't realize that the whole purpose of the person probably posted in the first time is to get you to engage in it, to get people to look at the comments and follow that negativity. That makes you follow, because now you wonder what's going to happen next. Right. So negativity just keep beating, and that's the wrong way to build a platform, because it's not of God to do that.
I totally agree. That's good. That's going to be a good one. That gapers, I like that though. That's good. That is really good.
You will delay your promise by gaping at some negativity.
You know, that's true. And when you talk about those comments, I'm gonna be witness. I'm gonna be transparent.
We all
like if it's like something really going on, the first thing you do, like I hit comments and I screen and I stroll, Garland, real slowly, because I don't want to like nothing. I'm telling myself, remember, somebody transparent. I want to stroll real slowly so I don't make a mistake and like nothing.
And then you'll see somebody that give you a juicy comment, then you go look at their page.
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
And what it is, it's a form of gossip.
It is.
It is, because it's a form of gossip, because you're feeding into negativity. You're talking about somebody.
You're right.
And
help us, Lord.
Yeah, help us, Lord.
Help us, Lord.
It draws. So this podcast is not going to be built on negativity.
That's right.
It's not going to be built on. You can comment whatever you want, but it's not going to be built.
That's
on
right.
Any type of talk that's negative.
Right. I agree. And, let me just say this, that I'm just excited to give people a space where they can, where they can, what I was about to say, let me just be honest. Our doorbell is ringing because the pizza guy is here. So we're our son.
Our guy on the switcher, DJ, is having to go to the door and get it.
DJ is having to go get our pizza. So
the camera stand on you while he does that.
Right. So DJ, you get the pizza. All right. So we good to go. So what were we saying though about the I forgot what I was saying.
You want to make a place for people.
I want to make a place of positivity. Like we're gonna talk about some things that everybody may not agree, and that's okay. If you don't agree, that's okay. But it's not gonna be a place that we are, because one thing about it, we would never intentionally hurt anybody.
Right.
That's not even how we roll. But we have for so many years has been a mantra for us to really, really help people. We've helped so many people. We even helped the youth, the generation before, different things. We were youth pastors where we have volunteered our time for, was it 18 years? It was a long time. We worked with
18 years,
ages 11 and 19. So we've always been about that. And now we're going to help all people, people, right? All people. So tune in.
Yeah. If you want to get some nuggets on life and business, relationships, ministry, we're going to be a wealth of information.
Finances,
yes.
Finances right there. Because there's a shift in the economy, and we want to make sure that people understand that. Because, people are talking about the recession, like a recession is coming in. But, in the times of recession is when the millionaires are made.
That's right.
So you have to be careful who you surround yourself with.
And part of our testimony, because we got 3 boys like you, like you said. And our oldest son knows the struggle because when he was small, we were struggling.
Yeah.
And then the middle son, Gabe, as he was coming up, he was born in the struggle, but we were coming out of it. So he's like teeter-tottering over, and the baby don't know nothing about it.
He don't know no struggle. He knows no struggle.
If he can't have something he asked for, he just, why? But why? I asked for this. I'm supposed to have that.
And then poor DJ, the oldest one, be like, I didn't get all that when I...
He's like an old man now. Like back in my day,
I didn't get this or get that. So
you should be glad that what you got now, boy.
Right. So
yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be awesome.
I'm excited to do it with you, Garland. Yeah. This is gonna be one of our things that we do together.
Yes, one of the many things.
One of the many things, right?
And I think it's gonna be a new shift for a lot of people because a lot of people are used to only seeing man doing stuff. They're not used to seeing the woman by his side.
Right.
I like I don't know who said this, but I heard it. I don't know if I read it, if I heard it, but it said that my wife stands next to me, beside me, because God took the rib out of his side, not of his back.
I know that's
so
right.
She doesn't stand behind, she stands next to me. So we work together, we're a team, and I'm just excited.
I'm excited too. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do this. Yeah. Like we had to get a handshake. Remember, I told you that before. We had to get a handshake. Isaiah gonna give us one of those cool handshakes. So you guys, that's it. That's just a little introduction. Troubleshooting.
I love it.
Troubleshooting with Garland
and Farida.
All right, you guys.
Tune in.
Bye-bye.